Hey everyone, I'm back and today we're going to be talking about Die Hard 2, Die Harder. And this movie came out in 1989, I believe, 1 year after the first movie. And the story here is basically the same thing as the first movie, which, is alright on paper. It's just a copy of the first movie, and it's not great. There are good things about this movie. I liked a couple of the action scenes were fun. There was a few lines of dialogue that I thought were fun. I liked the characters that came back from the first movie and the actors reprising their roles. Bruce Willis, he's really good. There were some cool ideas for some of the action scenes. I don't necessarily agree with how they were executed, but there's some cool ideas for how these action scenes would be executed. But unfortunately, I mostly found this movie pretty dull. They played it safe. There was nothing special about it. There's nothing that interesting going on. And unlike the first movie, where it establishes its characters and then has the villain storyline move along from there, this one, it establishes the characters, then goes to the villain immediately within 5 minutes of the movie, and you think to yourself, oh, this movie is going to be paced differently than the first movie. They're going to go right into it. No. The difference between this movie and the first movie is that this one wastes a lot of time. And there are so many scenes in this movie where it's just characters talking, and that's not nearly as interesting as the first movie, where I don't think it's like one of the greatest movies ever made, but watching this movie, it gave me some newfound appreciation for the first movie, and I thought that movie was pretty good. It was pretty solid. There wasn't any time wasted for the most part, and I was entertained throughout. For the most part, again. However, for this movie, it was the complete opposite. I was bored for the majority of this film. I think the first half hour is good. It's not great, but it's serviceable. But then, once the villain starts to take over the airport, that's when it starts to go downhill for me. And it's just repetitive scenes, things blowing up, and it's kind of funny. I mean, unintentionally funny. And I should also mention that, unlike the first movie, this movie had me laughing at it. Not with it, at it. Like when the title of the film first popped onto the screen, it said, Die Hard 2. It didn't have narration, but that's how it basically popped up onto the screen. And I found that to be a little comical. And there was another scene in this movie very early on where the main villain of the movie is just like flexing or doing whatever, and he's naked. I thought to myself, okay. I don't know what's going on. One thing that really bothered me about the action scenes in this movie is that they're slow-mo, and it's really lame. It's like a high frame rate, everyone's kind of moving kind of slowly, and people are getting shot, and it's not impressive, and it's just really dull, and it doesn't add to the experience, and if you sped it up into real time, you would have lost 5 minutes from this movie. Not saying that's much, I'm just saying it would have been slightly better if you didn't do that. I should also mention that one thing that I really, really don't like about this movie is that it focuses on John McClane's wife in this movie. And in the first movie, I was fine with her because she was a part of the situation itself. And she is in a different context. However, in this movie, it's not nearly as interesting because she's just on a plane. When you see her on screen, she's just on a plane. And there's like this guy who's reporting everything that's going on, and she has to stay away from this guy because she punched him and knocked 2 of his teeth out. And there was like a joke that I really liked. I'm not going to spoil it. Like there are moments that I like in the movie, that's pretty much early on. And in the second half of the movie, the action is the only entertaining part of the movie for me. I'm not saying it was great, I'm saying it was entertaining. There were also some twists and turns in the movie that didn't need to be there. I'm not going to spoil them because just in case you want to see it and you want to see it for yourself, that's fine. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just saying how I feel. And I just don't think this is a great movie, or even that good, honestly. It's painfully average, nothing memorable about it. It's just slightly below the bar. Kind of comical at times, both intentionally and unintentionally. But the majority of this movie is pretty dull, and I wasn't interested in what was going on or the characters, and I didn't find the villain to be intimidating at all. And it was just nothing to me. So in the end, Die Hard 2, Die Harder. I will always love that subtitle for reasons that they didn't intend. It's not a good movie for me. I'll never watch this movie again. I've seen this movie once before. I remembered parts about it, but the parts that I remembered are the parts that I liked. And there were so few parts that I liked. And there were very few moments that really worked for me, and there were times when even Bruce Willis wasn't great, and some of his line delivery was kind of weird. And maybe it was just the dialogue that was just bad. Because there's like a joke where he's lost in a parachute. And he's like, "Where's the door?" It's like, that's not funny. And that's about all I have to say about Die Hard 2. Just stick with the first one. Apparently the third one's better than this movie. I'll have to see for myself, but overall, not great. And I'm going to give Die Hard 2, Die Harder, a 4 out of 10. So those are my thoughts on Die Hard 2, Die Harder. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of this movie down below. And my social media links will be in the description down below, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up. And I've got just like a bunch of DVDs just sitting around collecting dust, so I decided, why not watch one of these? And I haven't seen this movie before, and I'm taking a chance with it. I know nothing about it, other than the two cast members, Michael Douglas and Brittany Murphy. Don't say a word. How bad could it be? Honestly, how bad could it be? But anyways, until I get to that up, thank you for watching, and have a great day.